Hey guys, Tad here from Attack of the Killer podcast with another Patreon exclusive YouTube video. As always, I want to take a few seconds to thank all of our Patreon supporters for your donations, your support, your subscriptions, whatever you want to call them, your money, what it comes down to. We appreciate every dollar that we get. Helps keep this podcast rolling, helps us keep recording these videos, helps us with our live shows, helps just the podcast in general. So this week I have something I'm very excited about. It's not a toy. It's not a book. It's not shoes. It's something I wasn't necessarily anticipating having for a video, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity, and now that I have it, I'm very excited. So without further ado, I am going to do a quick video reveal of the Trick or Treat Studios 2018 Michael Myers mask. My friend Adam, who's been on the podcast before, hi Adam, he found this guy at Spirit Halloween in Cedar Rapids, Iowa here, and he sent me a message and said, hey, they have two of them. He sent me pictures of both of them. He said, do you want one? And I said I probably shouldn't spend the money, and he picked one up for me anyways and said happy early birthday and Christmas. So I'm so happy to have this. If you don't know me, I am a huge Halloween fan. It's my favorite film of all time is John Carpenter's Halloween. The franchise is my favorite horror franchise of all time. I know those movies backwards and forwards. Very passionate about the Halloween series, so I'm very excited about the new film. If you listen to the podcast, you know that because I talk about it constantly. But I was very psyched to find out that Trick or Treat Studios was making the mask because I've always wanted to be more into the mask collecting, but I simply can't afford it. The hobby is very expensive if you want to get the good fan-made masks that are, you know, the hobby is just very expensive. They're several $100s each mask. I mean, they're worth the money, but you know, I can't afford it. But when Trick or Treat Studios came in to the game and started offering mass-produced masks for around the $60 for great sculpts and good hairing and stuff, for the longest time, if you wanted to buy a Michael Myers mask, you either got something really shitty for $30 or you got something pretty decent for the $200 range. And Trick or Treat Studios has stepped up the game. Now, with this new mask, I'll get a little closer so you can see. The actual movie mold is used for this. So as you can sort of see in these details here, it's they pulled these masks right from the movie mold. So this mask, as far as sculpt goes, is the exact mask that you're going to see on screen October 19th, which is pretty cool. The details are all there. You can see all the fine detailing. You got the needle mark in the neck from Laurie from the first movie, which is really cool. You know, they've got the signature Kurt cheeks, the forehead V, the lips. They even got the glue marks down the side, the ears, sort of everything. They got the dark hair. It's a fantastic mask for $60. Probably the best that's been offered by them by far. The one criticism that I agree with that a lot of people are complaining about is obviously the paint job's a little too dark, and each mask is a little bit different because they're all hand painted. This was actually a pretty decent copy, I'd say, and out of the two that Adam sent me pictures to, this one was a lot lighter than the other one. The other one was very dark. I mean, this already is too dark, but the other one he sent me was very weathered. And I think they're just overdoing the weathering a little bit, but the other one looked like it had been dipped in mud. they're just doing a little too much dry brushing to get those details out. Yeah, all the details are really cool and fantastic, and it looks like an old aged mask. But you just don't need all of those to pop out. So the thing right now everybody's doing is getting the $60 mask, sending it to an indie artist to have them rehaired and repainted. I don't mind the hair so much. The hair isn't bad at all. The hairline's not great, but for $60, man, this is a damn good mask. They knocked it out of the park. I expect to see some of these out on Halloween. Probably not around here, actually, because they're very hard to find. We don't have a Halloween store here. If you didn't pre-order it, they're getting harder and harder to find. eBay is your best bet, and they're going for $100 to $200, which is crazy to me. People pay twice as much for a mask. In a couple months, this thing will be everywhere, easily available, but it is a gorgeous mask, man. I mean, they got the hair right. The Trick or Treat Studios, they do a bang-up job, but I will say most of their masks have pretty bad hair. This one has pretty good hair. Obviously, I have the hang tag still on mine. I'm going to be cutting that off here pretty soon and styling the hair, but I think I got a good copy as far as the hair goes. And, yeah, I mean, check out the detail on this bad boy. It's really awesome. It is a little too small for my head, which isn't saying anything because if you can watch these videos, my head is fucking huge. I have an enormous head, so it does not surprise me that I can't even slip this on my head. I'm not too worried about it. I want it on display anyways, and I don't think I'll be repainting this anytime soon. It's a little intimidating to me, and I honestly don't think this copy's all that bad. You could use a little lightening, but overall, this is a good find. Thank you, Adam, for finding this. I'm very excited about it. It's sort of, right now, if you're in the mask collecting community, it's one of those controversial things everybody's arguing about. It's crazy, and everybody's trying to learn how to repaint them, and it's a whole thing. But, yeah, it's fantastic and goes along. I do have another one. It's not Trick or Treat Studios, but it's Nightmare from many, probably 10 or so years ago. It's not the best Halloween one mask, but it's sort of cool to see them side by side, 40 years later. And if I had to keep one, I'd probably still keep this one, even though this one was several $100s. Not several, probably 150, I think. But yeah, it's sort of cool to see how far we've come. They're both based off the Captain Kirk. I just love the profile of this guy. So, shout out to Trick or Treat Studios. I mean, look at the detail on the neck. If you can spend, $60, find one of these somewhere, and right now artists are rehauling them for like $100 or so, you get a 100% accurate mask. Because, like I said, this is pulled from the movie mold, guys. This is the real thing. Every detail that is on this mask is on the mask worn in the new movie, which is just crazy to think about. I think that's why everybody's sort of going crazy over it, because you can't get more accurate. No matter who sculpts it or what they do, they are not going to get as accurate as this, because this is it. Every last detail, I think some people are cutting the necks a little shorter because I guess the movie mask has a shorter neck, and some people are, working out the eye cuts a little bit more. I don't know. It's hard to argue against this because it's pulled from the movie mold, and that's a fact. It's fantastic. So, shout out to Trick or Treat Studios for getting it done, because that's freaking awesome for the price. So, thank you for watching this video again. Thanks for subscribing to our Patreon. We have some cool events coming up. Make sure to check out Halloween-a-Palooza, October 12th and 13th. That's not necessarily an event that the podcast is doing this year, but the guys that run the podcast run that event, and it's fantastic. So if you're in the area, check that out. Otherwise, keep listening to the podcast. We are now sponsored by Shudder, so check out our Facebook. and you can get a free month of Shudder. Shudder's fantastic. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Attack of the Killer Podcast.